Hello, hello, hello. Good day to you all. It just feels like I'm constantly being enlightened with training. This year just seems like growth after growth after growth. This year, maybe the last 2 years, I don't know. But it started with Renaissance periodization and Mark Israetel, an industry giant, leading me down the path of optimizing bodybuilding, hypertrophy, building muscle, god damn it. As well as like the Knees Over Toes, Ben Patrick, Athletic Truth Group. These are all people, if you're interested in training, go check them out. Diving into those, like Origins of Charles Poliquin, the ATG system is, and that's more focusing on building athletic performance through increasing the range of motion of your muscles, of your joints to be exact, and building strength through range, which I always talk about. And both those systems have crossovers. They both talk about full ROM, full range of motion. It's both optimal for athletic ability and hypertrophy. They both have crossovers, what I could see with those two systems, those two approaches to training, even though the goals were different. One was hypertrophy and one was athletic performance, or getting out of pain, rehab, if you want to call it that. So I then just did this internship at MTMT, and I found new guys to dive into. And Bill Hartman kind of seems like the big daddy ole of this whole kind of trickle down groups of knowledge. Pat Davidson seems to be the guy that's bringing it all together. Also interested in what Mike Israetel is saying, and he respects Mike Israetel and his approach for hypertrophy, so I'm glad I've got that knowledge in my head, that ability to build muscle optimally, not just, anyone can build muscle by going in the gym and working hard, but let's see how we can optimize that over time with various things that I've talked about before and will talk about more in the future. But it's just, I'm grateful for these Goliaths in the industry, because it seems like, sometimes I get cocky and it's like, alright, I get this now, I learnt this, time to move on. And then when you move on, you see just a whole different approach. So this approach from Pat Davidson and Bill Hartman talks about the evolution of organisms and how we've gone from like these single-celled sponge organisms in the sea, going into fish, moving out on land, getting more and more complex until we're here, human beings, the most complex in terms of movement capabilities, walk on two legs, move through different planes of movement, if you want to call it that, move in different directions with a high ability. And we can do a lot, right? Not many other beings, organisms, can move on 2 feet. Can move in water, we can do a lot, right? We can learn a lot. We're highly capable beings. And talking about along that evolutionary path of movement, of beings, of our higher capabilities, how we can train those individual abilities starting from the original ones. So like if you look at single-celled organisms, they can kind of, expand and contract. That's all they can do. And if you think about that, like the center of us, we have our heart, we have our main body, axial skeleton you want to call it, this part of the body, your head, your thorax, your spine, everything in there. That also starts with expanding and contracting the breath, and how important that is. And that's sometimes like woo-wooed around talking about breath, and I get that, why that's annoying. It's like, oh, breath, shut up, that's not going to build me muscle. but then focusing on the breath, making that a interesting training concept. Set yourself up with a good breath, a good position where you can contract and expand. Use that contraction to brace. Use that expansion to create space. It's interesting. It's a really interesting approach, and I'm just diving in, and I'm learning a lot of new ways. The training looks similar, but the answers are different. The whys are different. The fixes make more sense. When you have knee pain, getting your glutes involved can help that knee pain, for example. Just something on my mind. These are things that are going on. Clearly I've got a lot that I'm thinking about, and this video isn't really about anything in particular apart from saying thank you to the Goliaths. Thank you to those people who've put in so much thought and work, energy into figuring out the human body, how to move better, how to get out of pain, ways of approaching pain, then optimizing it over time, creating these principles and these systems for young guns like me to come in and steal information from, apply it to my own training, get better results for me, myself, and others around. It's awesome. It's awesome. There's so much information out there, and you don't have to stop learning. You get to keep going through, and it now feels like there's almost years of knowledge to acquire, and once I've acquired that, I can apply it to my own stuff and others. It's just so exciting. I'm pretty pumped up. With this approach, and the fact that it aligns with a lot of the other approaches that I'm learning as well. And I think there are some contradictions, but I need to learn more to find the answers to those contradictions. But yeah, shout out to the Goliaths, man. Mike Israel, Pat Davidson, Bill Hartman. I'm just going to say it, Ben Patrick, I think he's a gangster, Charles Poliquin. And most of this information is out there for free, and you can learn about it. And I'm pumped, man, I'm pumped. Coffee's getting me going, the cappuccino. But yeah, probably not so much valuable information for you guys, but it's helping me clarify my thoughts. Appreciate you listening. I hope you got something from it. And find those Goliaths in whatever industry you're doing and learn. Let's go. Have a good day. Get after it. Some training in as well. Come on. Don't be lazy. Move that meat sack.